Hey my fellow horror fanatics, and welcome back to October Horror Fest. Today I'm going to be reviewing the excellent sequel to the infamous slasher from 1980, Friday the 13th Part 2. Following the huge success of Friday the 13th, Paramount ordered a sequel to be put into production right away. The idea for Friday the 13th Part 2 at first was going to be a mythology series based around the Friday the 13th superstition, but Paramount did not like the idea and decided instead to do a continuation of the first film, and the sequel would feature Jason as the killer. And this proved to be the best choice because 1 year later, the makers of Halloween tried a mythology film with Halloween 3, and the fans hated it. Sean S. Cunningham, who directed the first Friday the 13th, decided not to direct a sequel, but he did produce the film. And Steve Miner, who was co-producer on Friday the 13th, directed the sequel, and he would also direct Friday the 13th Part 3 the following year. Friday the 13th Part 2 was made on a budget of $1.05 million and was released in theaters on May 1st, 1981 and made a very respectable $21,700,000 at the box office. Alright, I'm going to start the movie in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Restricted. Definitely. There's the Paramount logo. It sucks Paramount is not making as many good films as they used to. Alright, here's the opening. Quiet little town. With a little kid singing "Watch the Spider Out." Alright, here's Jason. And one interesting note, guys, a woman is actually playing Jason right now. She's a costume designer, and her name is Ellen Lutter, and she's the only woman to ever play Jason to date. And she really nails the walk. It's really creepy. Love this music. Alright, there's Alice. Yeah, Alice is still definitely having some pretty nasty dreams since surviving Friday the 13th. I could just imagine how bad that would be. I mean, I survived my share of crap, but this would be a nightmare for sure. Alright, here's the first flashback to Friday the 13th. I gotta say, Betsy Palmer, like, when you first see her, you just can't imagine that she's actually the killer, but at the same time, you suspect something's not right. Adrienne King is really nailing her performance here. Yeah, one note, Betsy Palmer only took the role in Friday the 13th because she needed money for her car, yet she really does give a good performance. I mean, she never really cared about the role for years, but she still gives a very strong performance. I wish I would have gotten a chance to meet her, but unfortunately I didn't. She's gonna be missed very much because she was definitely very talented. Did any of you guys ever meet Betsy Palmer? Let me know down in the comments. I could just imagine the shock the audience had back in 1980 when they realized it was actually Betsy Palmer who was the killer. Or Mrs. Voorhees, sorry, what the heck am I saying? Yeah, Betsy Palmer can put on a very strong performance as a very psychotic person. Get out of there, Alice. I tell you, if that was me, even though I can't drive, I would have still driven off, even with the body in the side seat. I'd be like, screw it. Passenger seat. Why did I say side seat? And eventually, I want to visit the camp from Friday the 13th. I know they welcome visitors, and they celebrate the film, I think, every year. Here's the big fight scene. Yeah, these two really put on a pretty strong performance fighting each other. They must at least hurt each other a little bit. Ouch. Okay, Alice has got the machete. Time for the kill. And gotta love the music right here. This was perfect. One thing I will say, the original Friday the 13th had some pretty good cinematography, and it still holds up. I can just imagine the audience, they think the film's over when this is going to suddenly happen. Yeah, I tell you guys, I was so mad. My town actually had, my city actually had a screening of Friday the 13th, but I didn't know about it. I was so angry. You imagine being an audience member, not knowing that Jason was going to jump out of the water and grab Alice? That would be shocking. I love these music sound. Like, I love this music. Why do newer films not use like classic tracks like this? 'Cause this damn is still so damn creepy. Yeah, some would argue Friday the 13th should have ended with Alice being pulled under the water, and it would have been an interesting ending for sure, but even this ending is still creepy because the audience wonders, did Jason really pull her under the water? Was he real or not? Though according to the film's producers and according to the film's makers, it was actually meant to be a dream. Though obviously part 2 does change that. Yeah, I have not gotten a chance to meet Adrienne King yet. I hope I do eventually, because she's one I definitely would like to talk to. I'm sure you guys know the story. The reason she's only in part 2 for a short time was, after part 1, which became a huge success, she got this stalker, which made her life a living hell. And eventually he was arrested, but it was very hard on her, and she didn't want to do the full sequel. Though there is another story going around that her agent wanted too much money for her, and I don't believe that one. Either way though, it was a bad situation, and I feel bad because I think she would have been great in the sequel. Now granted, I don't know what her role would have been in the film if she was there the entire time, like maybe another counselor? I'm not sure. Another thing, when she came to do her scenes, they had no script. They did not actually write anything for her character. Like right now she's just, winging it. She's just making all of this up. But she does an excellent performance right here. Another thing, guys, Friday the 13th Part 2 is one of the longest opening sequences before credits. And I don't know if any other film has actually beaten it. I would have to actually look it up. I'm not sure, guys. Yeah, I like a lot of these continuing shots. A lot of newer films, there's all these flash shots and quick events. Like, they really need to learn. Keep the camera following the character. It works so damn well. Yeah, this next shot is interesting. They're like, it's setting up something that you think is going to be something similar to Psycho. Because here's Alice, and she's going into the bathroom, and she's about to take a shower. And you're thinking, is this going to be literally a psycho type situation where the killer comes in, opens the curtain, and kills Alice? But it's not. It's a false jump scare, and not really a jump scare per se. I do wonder who was always on that phone call. And here's some more creepy music. I swear, the next Friday the 13th they make, I really hope they go back and use some of these original soundtracks, because they really hold up and they're so creepy. It's like, granted, I didn't mind the soundtracks in the remake, but I would like to see these original tracks return. Yeah, this entire scene is creepy and intense. Though I gotta say, Alice, why did you keep that door unlocked? Alright, Alice is now heading towards the kitchen. You can tell something's got her spooked. It's too bad she didn't go out the front door. It's funny, I can tell that was a garbage can, that sound. It's funny how some sounds you instantly know what it was. It's like, okay, that was a garbage can. Okay, Alice is grabbing the ice pick. She's gonna wish she hanged on to that. Oh, there's a watermelon on top of the fridge. I really like watermelon. See, guys, this is what newer horror films need more. They need build-up. There's the cat. There's a lot of people that say you can tell the cat was thrown through the window, but I honestly can't tell. Probably was, but it's just not easy to... But you just really can't tell. And of course the cat's just like, meow, give me food. Oh, Alice, you're gonna wish you didn't open the fridge. Surprise! You imagine that, seeing Mrs. Voorhees' head in the fridge? One interesting note, guys, when Adrian King is screaming right here, apparently, the ice pick, it did not control... The ice pick that they used on her head, it was supposed to retract, and the first time it didn't, so some of her screams were actually real because she was actually in pain. And you can kind of tell from the scene it didn't quite work. Okay, here's the opening. Yeah, I love this opening. I like to see these classic openings return for new Friday the 13th films. Alright guys, that was the opening to Friday the 13th Part 2. I admit, I don't like the fact that the character Alice is killed off, but I will admit though, it is a very chilling and powerful opening, so I can't really knock any points off the film for that. Though there's a lot of fans that will still argue, how did Jason even find her? And that really is a good question. Some novelizations have theorized that she actually was in Crystal Lake. She went back to face her fears and Jason saw her, and somehow he was able to follow her to town. And I guess that could be a good explanation, though some of the cast, including Adrian King, thought it was actually a dream sequence, but you will see later in the film that's not actually true, but I'll wait to show you guys that. Yeah, I love these classic tunes. Really creepy. That's right, the same guy that did the music for Friday the 13th Part 2, and I think even Part 3. He also did the music in the new Friday the 13th game. I'm gonna go look his name up. Sorry guys, I should know his name, but I forgot. Okay, there's Jeff and Sandra. Look at the size of that truck. Imagine how much gas that uses. Okay, looks like the composer's name is Harry Manfredini. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Oh yeah, there's a funny scene coming up. Oh, you guys see this phone booth? It's actually fake. The filmmakers put it there, and apparently people in the town were actually trying to use it, and they were wasting quarters, and they're like, it doesn't freaking work! It's like, that's hilarious. There's Crazy Ralph. Can you imagine that? Having some random guy go up to you saying you're all doomed? I'd just be like, okay. Oh yeah, they're right here, their truck's about to get towed. It's so hilarious. Imagine that, seeing your truck getting towed away. It's like, hey! Yeah, eventually I want to visit the Friday the 13th Part 2 filming locations too. Yeah, you can see it, Jeff. And it's so hilarious. You guys are gonna see in a second why his truck got towed. It's so hilarious. You see this guy, guys? That's actually Ted. He was literally like a minute away, and he was calling them. And he had the truck towed by the guy at the gas station. Yeah, this guy's just too funny. Okay, Harry Manfredini. He did the music in the original Friday the 13th, Part 2, Part 3, the final chapter, A New Beginning, Jason Lives, but he did not do Part 7 and Part 8, but he did come back to do Jason Goes to Hell. And I think that's about it. Oh no, he did Jason X, and he's doing the Friday the 13th game, and from what I've seen, he's doing a solid job. I would love if they could bring him back for the next Friday the 13th film, whenever that is. Yeah, this film has a lot of funny jokes. Oh yeah, a mysterious tree branch in the middle of the road. I wonder who put that there. Good question, Jeff. Interesting note, guys, Sandra, she's actually, the actress was actually only 17 in the film. And that's actually going to play a very important factor later in the film. But I'll discuss that when we get there. One thing you will say about Friday the 13th Part 2, it's definitely better shot, but granted they had more money, so that probably helped. You imagine you're gonna go work at a camp near Camp Blood and be like, maybe I don't want to come here? Okay, granted I would, but that's just me. I would actually like to check it out. Oh, somebody's spying on Sandra. There's Jason. And ironically, this was actually, I guess, Jason's idea of mercy. He tried to keep you guys away. Alright, here's the new camp. I would like to see these filming locations eventually, but I heard the place is owned by somebody else now, and they don't really allow anybody onto the property to do any tours or anything. And that's too bad. Though, granted, if I ever win the lottery, I probably would buy the place. Turn into Friday the 13th Part 2, the camp. Okay, here's a bunch of other characters, including Mark, who's in a wheelchair. Okay, here's Terry and her dog Muffin. And here's a funny scene. Okay, this guy is Scott, and you can clearly he has the hots for her. He's pranking her. And you can tell Terry is actually kind of interested in him, too. There's a lot of great shots in this film for sure. You can tell Scott's definitely a joker. You see, guys, that's what a lot of newer films are missing. They actually introduce characters and actually make them worth a damn. Now, granted, not every character in Friday the 13th Part 2 is well known, but there is a reason for that, because they don't actually all die. Okay, here comes Jenny, played by Amy Steele, and she's considered the best heroine in the Friday the 13th series, and I do agree with that because she's just awesome. Yeah, I'm not sure what car Jenny is driving. I'd have to look it up. Now, it's too bad nobody would have thought to actually keep it, because that would be very valuable today. You want to buy the car from Friday the 13th Part 2? Okay, here's a lover's quarrel, which is just too obvious. Yeah, I think somebody did visit the camp at one point, and apparently some of the railings for some of the stairs for some of the cabins isn't there anymore. I gotta say, these two were perfectly cast because they do have such solid chemistry. Who could actually stay mad at her? I mean, she's just got one of those personalities. Granted, though, you can tell he's got the hots for her big time. And it's definitely mutual. Yeah, these are just good, funny scenes. One thing that is impressive with a lot of the earlier Friday the 13th films is, well, granted, most of the Friday the 13th, the scripts were written pretty quick. But I guess they had the right talent. Because Part 2 came out literally the next year, so that's not a lot of time to make a script and then bring these movies together, but they could shoot them so fast. Like, I think this was shot in about a month. If any of you guys have ever been in camp, let me know down in the comments. Like, I want to hear about your experiences. I've only ever been to camp for like a day. Oh no, wait, I did go on a school trip for 3 days at a camp. Though granted, we were sleeping in tents. And I will say though, it is peaceful. Like, when you get away from everything for a couple days, you actually don't miss, like, you don't miss computers, you don't miss TV. Like, you kind of just get used to it. I don't know if I could do a whole summer at camp, but... Oh yeah, that's a questionable line. Talks about menstrual cycles, but... doesn't really bother me, but I guess it wouldn't bother me, period. Oh yeah, this is funny. I don't know how Jenny did that, how she kept her car from starting and then she got him with the exhaust. Yeah, one interesting thing, guys. The first Friday the 13th takes place over one night. Part 2 takes place over 2 nights. Part 3 is 1 night. And Part 4 is over 2 nights. Huh. Yeah, campfires with marshmallows is actually pretty fun. Yep, here's Paul telling the story of Jason, and he sets it up pretty good. Okay, here Paul gives a little bit more information on what happened to Alice. She disappears 2 months later, and her apartment was full of blood. So that right there tells us it can't be a dream sequence. But there is another major thing that gives away what happened to her later. Talk about creeping everybody out. Yeah, you notice here there's no music. This actually just relies on the sound effects of basically just the environment, like the woods. And it works so damn good. Because I swear, go out of your house at night when you hear the crickets and all that and just the silence, it can be creepy. Yeah, Paul's got everybody hooked. Wish I could be at that campfire, that would have been funny. Imagine that, I would be long gone if Jason suddenly came out of the woods and be like, what the? It's actually Ted. See, like, these are fun characters. That's what you need in a Friday the 13th film. Paul, you should have let her in on the prank. Ted. You're just so funny. I tell you guys, if they were gonna remake Friday the 13th and like Friday the 13th Part 2, they wouldn't have to change too much. I mean, yeah, you don't want to do a shot-for-shot remake, but like, there's not much you'd have to change, like maybe update some of the games they're playing and such. I mean, like I said, there's not a lot you have to do, because these films hold up. Here's Scott with Muffin. Oh, this is just funny. And of course, Muffin sees Jason outside. Yeah, I did a chess tournament once. Any of you guys done that? Fortunately, my high school did not have chess. It was only my middle school. Gotta love the music cues. They really just nail the feel of the They really nail the feel of the movie, and it works so damn good. Oh yeah, Jeff and Sandra. Sandra is a little too curious for her own good. She wants to go see Camp Crystal Lake, also known as Camp Blood. And of course, she has a pretty effective way of getting her what she wants. Yeah, these are actually pretty decent cabins, I gotta say that, because they actually have their own washroom facilities and all that. Oh yeah, one interesting note, guys, the cast actually did stay in the cabins on the filming locations throughout the shoot, and they were actually sometimes scaring some of the cast members at night by pranking them through the windows, and apparently one, she fainted. I forget who it is. I don't know if it's in my notes. Probably not, but I remember that. I forget, I think it was in a documentary. Now, who could be knocking at the door? Yeah, at first I wasn't sure how this was pulled off, because you guys probably already know who it is. But it's actually, okay, I'll just wait a second. This is obviously a false jump scare, but it was actually Paul pulling a prank on Jenny. But I realized she was looking far enough away he could easily slip in. And now you see the most obvious part of the movie, that they were definitely seeing each other. Only thing I can say is these two characters, even though they definitely get in a very passionate moment, you don't actually ever see anything. Because that's one thing, Friday the 13th Part 2 doesn't actually show nudity. Well, okay, it does, but... well, no, there's some in the film, but there's one. The other love scene is had to be reshot because of an unforeseen issue, but I'll talk about that later. I gotta say though, Jenny and Paul, they have really good chemistry. Like, they're definitely, I think they might be my favorite couple in the Friday the 13th in the Friday the 13th series. What about you guys? Did you have any other favorite couples? There's Crazy Ralph. I gotta say, he was really dumb to come back to Crystal Lake. I always wonder what Jenny was gonna tell Paul. I never did find out. Okay, this is where they kill off Crazy Ralph, and I gotta say, that was gutsy. But at the same time, I think it was a pretty good kill. If I was gonna kill him off like in a remake of this, I'd probably chop his head off, just to make it pretty memorable, but this was still a good kill. Okay, here's the next day. Jenny definitely had a late night. Beware of bears. Yeah, what's up with you guys? You're supposed to run faster. Okay, here's Jason creeping around. Yeah, I think it's Warrington Gillette that's playing Jason right now. He played Jason for the most of the film. Apparently he originally auditioned for another counselor, but they decided to go with somebody else, but they cast him as Jason, though another guy took over the rest of the other guy, but the one who did actually a lot of the stunts was by Steve Daskowitz, and I'll talk more about him later in the film because there is some confusion about this. These music tracks are just so damn good, like they really add tension to each scene. Here's Muffin, off by herself. Wonder how that happened. Imagine being the camera operator, all you want to do is pet her. I actually, when I was with my school trip, we actually did cook hot dogs on sticks. It took some time over the fire, but it did work. In this case, they're actually using, I believe it's some... Oh no, it's, what they're doing is a fire, but they're using, a grill over it. Which is actually pretty effective. Okay, here's Terry looking for Muffin. Yeah, this scene's a little bit of a goof, I think. Because this is meant to be Jason's perspective, and she should see Jason, but... Well, maybe not. Maybe he was far enough away where she couldn't quite make him out. Yeah, good thing Jenny knows where that chainsaw is, because that's going to come in handy later. Yeah, I've only ever used an electric chainsaw. I think I'd find a gas one too much of a pain in the butt. I tell you guys, okay. The first time I went to camp, it was only for a day, I remember. It was for our grade 6 graduation trip. It sucked. The day we went, I think it was like 22 degrees or something, 24 degrees. It wasn't very hot. I think the next day it was like 28, 30, like it would have been much nicer. I remember the water was so cold, it took forever to get used to it. Like, I remember once my teacher, she actually touched my arm and she was like, "Holy jeez, it's so cold!" Like, I admit, swimming in a lake or, the beach, it takes time to get used to the water, unless you go on a really hot day. And I think the next time, that's right, the next time we went early in the spring, it was still cold in the water. Like, I remember, it was also pretty cold at night. The only bright side was, it was only the mosquitoes out. The deer flies and the black flies were still dormant, but I tell you, those mosquitoes, they can still bite through your jeans and your shirt. It's like, damn! Yeah, they got a lot of weird animal jokes in this movie, but they are funny. Oh yeah, here's Ted's famous line for his joke. Yeah, I would say the pacing in Part 2 is better than Part 1, but Part 1 definitely has its creepiness too. Yeah, you gotta love, this scene doesn't actually use any music, it just relies on the sounds in the woods, and it works. Except for this part. Surprise! Note to yourself when you're in the woods, don't go over a no trespassing sign. You're just asking for trouble. Yeah, once me and a couple of my friends, a couple times we went to the woods, not too far from where I used to live. And I remember we were playing with, plastic BB guns. And I remember one time we found this one place, it was almost like a makeshift treehouse, it wasn't quite finished. I remember one friend, he was pretty strong, he actually climbed up there, it was just like, you're crazy. Oh yeah, right here, this looks like it's Muffin, but... It turns out later in the film it's not, but it really does look like Muffin, it's really strange. Busted! This is one part of the movie I gotta say Paul should have acted a little more mature, but granted, later in the film he does punish them a little more, but... Yeah, one thing I gotta say, I get why this lieutenant is being such a hard-ass. He's trying to keep everything quiet. Yeah, if I was an officer there, I would want things to stay quiet, and I guess a new camp wouldn't be the best idea. But at the same time, I'm sure the land would be pretty cheap. I mean, I probably would have punished them for trespassing, but not much. I probably would have done was give them wood chopping duty for like a week. Okay, let's go chop some wood. Okay, here's one of my major gripes in the movie coming up. Okay, here's one of my major gripes in the movie coming up. There's clearly only one road that leads to this camp, and the lieutenant sees Jason running through the woods, and he parks his car right here, and he goes after Jason, and he leaves his car. It's like, how did nobody later in the film see his car? I mean, unless there is more than one road, but I'm pretty sure there isn't. Now, granted, I could be wrong, like maybe he went the opposite direction, which I guess could be possible, but it is strange. It's also, well, okay, I can see why maybe the cops would be looking for him until the end of his shift, especially in a small town like that. Yeah, this is very action-y, creepy music, and it works. Yeah, there's some really good cinematography here. They handle these chase sequences pretty damn solid. Ouch. Yeah, that puddle. I would laugh if that puddle was somehow still there, but I doubt it. Well, maybe, maybe not. Could be bigger by now. Yeah, that lieutenant's gonna wish he actually lost Jason. Well, he kinda does and he doesn't. He ends up finding Jason's hideaway. Okay, I don't know if this was supposed to actually be one of the original cabins, or if Jason just took materials and built his own little shack. I think that's actually what it was supposed to be. It's his own shack. He somehow built it. Does look creepy, though. And it probably would be hard to find that if you're not looking for it. Like, I've seen cases where some people, they bought land, and they found some random house on their property in the middle of the woods. Yeah, this is all creepy. I would not go in there by myself. That's for sure. God, I love these music tracks. It's so creepy. That's the only thing, though. Maybe this was a cabin because there's a... Maybe this was a cabin because there's a toilet. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Yeah, we don't see what he sees in this room until later in the film, but it's not good. Whack. Yeah, apparently, the MPAA made, the makers of Friday the 13th Part 2 reduce some of the gore from the movie. And apparently the lieutenant's death had some blood in the back of his head. It's too bad, I'd like to see it. There has been a lot of push for a Friday the 13th Part 2 uncut version, but Paramount, I think, is saying the footage is lost. I don't know if it's true or not, because Paramount's been kind of stubborn. They don't want to release these uncut versions, and I don't know why. They just don't want to do these, like, deluxe editions for their films, and it's really stupid. Though I will tell you guys one story. I saw online on several online auction sites one time where you can make offers for stuff. This guy said he had this, like, TV version of Friday the 13th Part 2, and eventually I ordered it from somebody, and apparently it contains, like, an extra minute of different footage, like some extra camera angles and stuff. I ordered it. It never showed up. I ordered it from somebody else who had this, like, movie site, and they did all this fancy artwork. I blew quite a bit of money. It never showed up. I was so pissed. And the original person that was selling this Part 2 television cut, they stopped selling them. Like, I should have ordered it from him when I had the chance. So I really want to see what this alternate footage looked like. Apparently the film was a minute shorter, but it was definitely something different. And it could actually be true because, I have a 1981 airing of the original Halloween, and there's some alternate footage in there that is not on any extended edition that was released later, so there could definitely be some hidden stuff we don't know about Friday the 13th Part 2 out there. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know down in the comments, because I want to see this footage. There's Jason. And I think he was dragging somebody or something, or it looks like he was carrying somebody, but I could be wrong. Yeah, you gotta love the shot with the full moon. Okay, here's Terry. Yeah, I gotta say, even in the city, when you're walking down any street at night, it is creepy, but at the same time, it is kind of peaceful, because all you hear is the bugs. All you hear is, like, crickets tripping. All you hear is, like, crickets cricking and all that. Like, all you hear is the crickets. And, I forget the other... All you hear is, like, the sound of just natural sounds. Okay, you guys see this casino bar? It actually burned down a few years after the movie was shot. It's too bad, too. I would have actually liked to have seen this place. Yeah, one thing this movie, breaks in terms of standard slasher rules, all these people, all these counselors that go into town to party, they actually end up surviving the movie. It's actually ironic. Okay, Terry's about to take a midnight swim, skinny dipping, which is something I've never done. I mean, I guess all of us think about doing it, but how many of us will actually go through with it? I mean, okay, I admit, if I had my own private pool in, like, my backyard where nobody could see me, maybe I'd probably do it. Gotta say, though, that water must be frickin' cold at night. A shot of a deer. And I gotta say, Mark must have pretty damn good arms because he's gotta move that wheelchair around all day, because I've actually, our school had us do is we actually spent a week in wheelchairs, and it was fun, but I admit, it does get to your arms because you're using your arm muscles so much. So, you definitely build up a lot of arm strength. Now, I don't know why they put a character with a wheelchair in the film. I don't know if that was because of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it could have been. And he's actually a pretty good character. Yeah, I don't know what these games are exactly. There's some sort of hockey and football type of score game or something. Like, I don't know how they work. I'd have to see them closer up. I don't know exactly... Like, I don't know how they work exactly. Oh, yeah. Scott steals, Terry's clothes. Naughty boy. Can you imagine that getting out of the water and you find out your clothes are gone? That would be a nightmare. I'd be like, oh shit, where's my clothes? Scott, you naughty boy. You know, part of me wonders, even though he's a pain in the ass, I wonder if Terry was going to eventually sleep with him. Because I can tell she still had the hots for him, even though she found him to be a pain in the ass. Yeah, I don't know how that rope works, that rope trap. Gotta say though, that was clever of Jason. Yeah, Terry, you should have left him to hang. Even though, ironically, you do. But you would have actually been better off leaving him there. Should not have come back for him. I would have left him there all night. Yeah, he can't really go anywhere. Terry, 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 you should have left him there. Yeah, one thing you guys will notice later... Actually, no wait. I'll just edit that out. Yeah, you can tell something's about to happen. But I love the build-up. Yeah, the guy that does the makeup effects and all the death effects in that for the film is Carl Fullerton. And he does a pretty solid job. Unfortunately, a lot of the deaths have been edited down because of the MPAA. And Tom Savini did not come back for part 2. And interestingly, Stan Winston was supposed to actually do part 2, but he had to drop out because of scheduling conflicts. But I will say Carl Fullerton does a great job. Terry, you should have left him there. I would have. Poor Terry. She's gonna wish she didn't drop that knife, though. Yeah, unfortunately, Terry's death is off screen. We don't exactly know what happened. I guess they decided they need to at least have one death off screen. Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind being at this bar. Yeah, cowboy hats. Good music, I'll say that. Yeah, man, how many beers did Ted drink? 10? Yeah, you can tell he's definitely hammered. Yeah, this is a good scene, because, Jenny talks about the possibility of Jason being real, and she kind of feels sorry for him. It's actually, very good of her character. It's actually well written. Like I said, she's a very good character. She's very well rounded. She's funny. She's pretty damn attractive. She's strong, and she cares. It's like, she is basically, like, the best example of a good heroine. Or final girl, whichever you want to call it. Ah, Paul, if only you knew she's actually right. But I can also tell Jenny's definitely had a few. Even though she's had a few, though, she does have some good points. Paul. Oh yeah, there's some arcade games in the background. I never noticed that before, I can't believe that. Have any of you guys ever been to an arcade? I've been to a barcade once. And I did try some arcades back when I was a kid. Some corner stores used to have them. Which sucks, you don't see them at corner stores anymore. Okay, there's Jeff and Sandra making out. Oh, time for some alone time. It's like, really? You're trying to be subtle? Yeah, you can tell Vicky definitely has the hots for Mark, and it's vice versa. Yeah, I gotta say, if I was stuck in a wheelchair permanently, it would definitely not be fun. Like, I got a feel for anyone stuck in a wheelchair. The one thing I would like to do eventually is a wheelchair race. I don't think I ever did that. When I was in a wheelchair for a week for school when I was just trying it out. Okay, here's the good stuff. Yeah, guys, you're gonna notice you're not gonna see any nudity from Sandra. And there's a reason for it. Like I said earlier in the movie, she's actually 17. And apparently what happened, they actually shot a full nudity scene with her, but then when they found out she was 17, they had to destroy the footage and reshoot. Talk about a surprise, that would be a nightmare. So that means even if that footage still exists, they could never release it, and I'm sure it was destroyed because that cannot be allowed to be kept, because that's basically child porn. Mark and Vicky's turn now. Yeah, gotta feel bad for Mark though. Vicky goes off to freshen up and things don't end well for Mark. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I guess the when Terry went in, I guess the light was, I guess the not the light, but I guess the plug was loose or something? Vicky. Oh, somebody's spying on her. Not good. I wonder what kind of perfume she was using. Any of you guys know that? If you don't worry about it. I honestly don't know myself. I'm just curious because I can't tell from the bottle, like I can't see it. Yeah, I forget in Friday the 13th Part 2 if they actually shot when it was actually raining or if they had to make their own rain. because I didn't know in the original Friday the 13th they actually had to use fire hoses or something for some of the scenes to actually film rain. So it's like, it's interesting when you hear this stuff, it's like, really? Never noticed. Yeah, this scene has some pretty good build-up. I really thought something was going to happen here. I don't know what Vicky grabbed out of her car. Do you guys know? I can't tell. Yeah, that's one interesting thing. They have lights screwed into trees. Don't ask me how that works. Mark, you shouldn't have gone out there. I'll say you made another mistake. You looked the opposite way of where you should have. Yeah, guys, this is arguably the best kill in the series, and I think it is my favorite. Oh, poor Mark. He doesn't see what's coming. Gotta love the build-up, though. It's like, no, turn around! Turn around, man! Turn around! Ouch! And guys, apparently there is another shot where you would have seen the machete going in from the front, but it was cut by the MPAA, unfortunately. But that was a good shot, though, especially going down the stairs. Okay, here comes Jason. Oh yeah, and here's the famous Jason. Gotta love that. Oh. Jason found the spike. Yeah, this is another great build-up. Oh, poor Jeff and Sandra. If only you see it coming. Yeah, another thing, guys, their death, if you look on the back of certain releases, like on VHS, there actually is a picture of the double impalement from above. You can see it actually like going in and there's a blood pool, but it was cut by the MPAA and they could only show it from underneath. And unfortunately, it's never been put back into the movie. But that is a good kill. Yeah, Paul and Jenny are about to leave and they're gonna wish they stayed. Yeah, and Ted ignores, oh wait, I'll talk about it in a second. Oh, one interesting thing, guys. You see this guy right here who's running into the casino? He's got, something, I think he's got, like, on a jacket. That's actually, Jeff. He convinced Steve Meyer to let him do that scene where he's running into the casino. He actually came back to life. Paul and Jenny, you're gonna wish you stayed. Though, Ted actually ignores, Paul's orders, and he actually asks this guy, if there's after-hours places, and there actually is. And that's how he survives the movie, him and the other counselors. They survive by staying in town. That actually does break the, slasher rules, but you know what? It still works. I guess once in a while the funny guy should live. Poor Vicky, you're too late. Mark's at the bottom of the stairs. Oh, Vicky. Don't go up those stairs. Yeah, there's somebody still there, Vicky, but you don't want to meet him. They're in there, but, they ain't gonna be much help to you. Poor Vicky. You imagine that? I'd be like, fuck, I'm out of here! Vicky, run! Don't stay behind the door. Yeah, I love this shot. It's so creepy and well done. And the music, it's all perfect. Yeah, I don't know where Jason stabs Vicky. It's not really shown. I'm gonna assume the chest. I don't think that they ever actually showed it. Unless the MPAA made them remove that too, I'm not sure. Okay, Paul and Jenny are coming back. Yeah, we've had some pretty wicked rainstorms this year. Gotta say though, it would be a pain in the butt to shoot this out in the rain, but it works. These are great shots. Oh yeah, here's Jason dragging poor Vicky down the stairs. They must have just missed Jason. Yes, Jenny, something is wrong. And you should get out of there. And that was one funny thing, Paul Missy actually does drugs. But granted, it was the 80s. I think a lot of people were doing marijuana back then. No, that's not a joke. That's blood. I tell you, if I saw that, I would have been long gone. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go get some cops. Paul, you're actually pretty wrong. There is something going on. Something nasty. Okay, this is when things are really gonna start ramping up. God, I love the music. Also, there's a lot of good continuous shots. You're right, Jenny, there is someone in the room. Okay, here's the fight. That fight is pretty intense. If I was fighting Jason, I guess what I would do is try and stab him in the eyes with my fingers. Might work. Nope, it's Jason. Sorry, Jenny. Yeah, I would be holding that door shut for my life. Which is ironically the situation. Yeah, I don't know how Jason was able to... I guess Jason figured Jenny would try for the window. But I love this. There's so much good build-up in this scene. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Surprise! Man, I wish I could have been an audience member back in '81 when that happened. Yeah, luckily the kitchen door has an actual lock, which is kind of weird, but effective. Yep, there's Jason trying to get in. Yeah, I think this is very similar to the music from the first one right here, but it works. I mean, this is solid. Surprise! God, imagine that pitchfork through the door and there's crazy Ralph. I'd be like, fuck! Yeah, that must have hurt. Gotta say, Amy Steele is a tough one. 'Cause I don't think she had a stunt double. Yeah, figures. Jenny makes it into her car, but the atypical horror movie situation, it won't start. But granted, it was raining, and her car has had some trouble, so... Yeah, I gotta say, you can tell Jason's not super experienced in this film, though he's very good at killing. But he does make some funny mistakes, but he's still really menacing. God, that would be so freaking scary. He'd be like, no! Yeah, one thing I don't get, why did Jenny go out that door? I would have gone out the other door. Here's the chase. And you gotta love you gotta love the action music right here. It works so damn good. One thing I will say, I love how Jenny fights back. Like, she hides and just waits for the right moment. And kick! Right in the nuts. Yeah, I know. I think Jenny has a close call. I'm not sure when. Hang on a minute. Oh no, right here she tries to get out in this car, but unfortunately, I guess Vicky locked the doors. Yeah, it's surprising how Jason didn't actually see her here, but granted, I don't think he has the best vision. Yeah, that was an intense scene. Yep, and Jenny's about to have another close call. Yikes, that was close. Yeah, gotta say, Jenny is smart. She knows how to escape him. Tell you though, what I would have done, I would have friggin' ran to town. Might have taken me a while, but I would have. Granted though, that's like 20 miles, but granted, I guess the further I get away from him, the better. Yeah, this is some really creepy sound effects and music right here. Again, this is solid. Like, they know exactly when to cut the music and rely just on natural sounds. Like, this is really creepy. There's poor Janie hiding under the bed. God, that would be scary. I'd definitely be trying to hold my breath, but Boy, would that'd be adrenaline pumping moment for sure. Can you imagine that? Like, knowing that the person that's trying to kill you is literally within inches of you, all he has to do is look down? Oh yeah, here comes a rat. And, there was a debate, like, for a while I thought it was the rat that went to, okay, the rat's gonna come by Jenny in a second. And, I thought the rat was the one that was actually urinating, but apparently it was, I think it was actually Jenny. But granted, I can't blame her. I mean, talk about another surprise. A rat's literally within a second of you, and a rat's literally within an inch of you, and all it has to do is, like, one wrong thing, and it could get you killed. Ah, Jenny, you should have stayed under that bed. Surprise! Thank God that chair broke. Ah, the good old chainsaw. Yeah, you can tell that's definitely a movie prop chair, because it broke a bit too easily, but same time though, Jenny, you should have kept hitting him. I would have. Because he clearly wasn't dead. Now, Jenny, you're smart though. You actually decided to make a run for it, but you should have ran towards town. But instead, she picks the wrong direction. But granted, it's not like she knows these woods inside and out. Can you imagine if that puddle was actually still there after all these years? That would be interesting. Granted though, good luck finding it. I mean, unless it's really close to the camp. Oh, unfortunately, Jenny, you're not going to find help there. You actually went to the worst place you could go. Oh, here comes Jason. Oh yeah, and here's the big reveal. A bunch of bodies. And if you guys look closely, you see that skeleton? It's got basically an ice pick in its head? That's Alice. It has to be because nobody else in the movie died the same way. There's Mrs. Voorhees' head along with her sweater. Okay guys, in this scene it's actually Steve Daskowitz. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He's actually the one playing Jason because he's doing these crazy stunts. Because, Warrington Gillette couldn't do a lot of the stunts, or he was afraid to do some of them. But apparently he's been taking, a lot of credit for, Steve, Daskowitz's stunts. And I admit, that's kind of shitty to do. But I know the record was finally set straight. Though granted, I still want to meet both Jasons if I ever get the chance. Yeah, a lot of people argue the makers of Friday the 13th Part 2 ripped off the mask from The Town That Dreads Sundown, and it is similar, but I don't think there was anything better they could have used at the time, because that really works. The potato sack mask is pretty effective. Yeah, this is actually Betsy Palmer. She came back to do this cameo in Part 2. It's the only other time in the series, though, she makes a cameo, unfortunately. Though she actually was offered to do Freddy vs. Jason, but she didn't want to do those stupid lines and all that, and I guess I can't blame her. But I will admit, that would have been actually awesome if she actually was in Freddy vs. Jason. Yeah, I gotta say, this is where Jenny is really smart. Tricking Jason by wearing his mother's, sweater? Like I said, Jenny is definitely a very powerful final girl, and I do think she's the best in the Friday the 13th series. And I think she's one of the top favorites in all horror. I don't know if she's my top favorite, but she's definitely close. Oh, Jenny, you should have not moved. Poor Jenny, you shouldn't have moved. He saw his mother's head. And he got poor Jenny in the leg with a pickaxe. Oh, another thing, guys. When Jenny and Jason are fighting, Jenny accidentally got Steve Daskowitz in the freaking, I think it was his middle finger with the machete. And she slit it open, like he had to go to the hospital and get stitches. And literally, he walked into the hospital wearing the makeup, and I can just imagine how the ER people were like, huh? Anyway, they stitched him up, and then he had to put a condom on his finger or something, and him and Jenny apparently wanted to finish the scene, and they did. Alright, here's the showdown. Jason's about to kill Paul, but Jenny saves him at literally the last second. Right into the shoulder. Yeah, Jenny actually takes a look at Jason, which is... I guess I could understand why she would want to, but it is surprising. Though luckily we will get our... Though luckily we'll get our good luck in a minute. God, though, that must hurt. You imagine how messed up her leg is? Taking a pickaxe? That would hurt, because that's a pretty nasty gash. Yeah, interestingly, Steve Miner also directed Halloween H2O, which is... And interestingly, Steve Miner also directed Halloween H2O, but in that film he actually held back a lot of the death scenes, which is kind of strange considering he had no problem doing them here, but I will say, though, he nails his suspenseful scenes, like he knows how to build suspense. Yeah, I bet Jenny's feeling that pain now. That is a nasty gash. Yeah, you can tell these two have been through a nightmare. Imagine hearing that, suddenly hearing something at the door. Yeah, luckily Jason left the pitchfork. Yeah, I guess the handle fell off when Jason hit the ground. Yeah, this is a really intense scene. And the damn music here is so damn good. And surprise, it's actually Muffin, who actually is not dead. It's like, where has she been all day? Yeah, this scene, so well done. Though there's still a lot of debate among the fans, is this actually real or not? Was this actually a dream sequence? this really? We don't know. God, that is some creepy-ass makeup. You imagine being in the ER that night when he came in, having to get stitches? I'd be like, what the? And apparently he went back to the ER hours later as a joke. It's just like, damn. Okay, it's the next day, and Jenny is being loaded into an ambulance, and she's basically saying, where's Paul? And that's honestly the one question everybody has. Where is Paul? It is a big debate. Nobody knows. Like, according to the writer of the movie, he said Paul was dead, but they didn't actually shoot it. Though, the ending here, you're gonna see Mrs. Voorhees' head, like, there it is. Originally, apparently, when there's a close-up of her head, she was supposed to, smile and wink, indicating that Paul's dead, but, Paramount said, it looked too fake, so they chose not to do anything with it. Though granted, I would like to actually see the footage. But yeah, we actually don't know what happened to Paul. So we don't know if the window crash was actually real or not. Okay guys, that was Friday the 13th Part 2. So what are my final thoughts on the film? To be honest, I really enjoy it, and it's my favorite Friday the 13th film in the entire series, though Part 4 is literally a tie with Part 2. I really like Friday the 13th Part 2 overall. I know the beginning of the film is questionable, and killing off Adrian King's character Alice is a very touchy subject, but it's a powerful opening and I really enjoy it. I really like the setting for Part 2, and while it does follow a similar plot to the original, but there are some key changes, and I find Part 2 has better writing, and I really like the cast and characters, and Amy Steele does an excellent job as Jenny, and she is easily the best final girl in the entire series. I really enjoy the cinematography. It really gives the film some major depth, especially during the wheelchair kill, which is considered one of the top kills in the entire series. I know Jason's iconic look is with the hockey mask that he gets in Part 3, but the burlap sack look he has in Part 2 also makes him look pretty menacing, and I really like the look. Tom Savini did not return to do the makeup effects and death scenes for Part 2, but like I said earlier, Carl Fullerton did an outstanding job. And like I said though, interestingly, originally Stan Winston was supposed to be the makeup effects artist, but he had to drop out because of scheduling conflicts. The music score for Friday the 13th Part 2 is excellent, and it really adds an extra layer of fright. Steve Meyer does an excellent job directing the film. Alright, I'm going to just briefly again talk about who actually played Jason. Alright, first at the beginning of the film, Jason was played by a woman named Ellen Lutter, who I mentioned earlier, who was a costume designer for the film, and you see her legs when Jason is walking down the street, and she does a great job. Two different guys actually played Jason for the rest of the film. Warrington Gillette, which I mentioned earlier, he played Jason for most of the film, but he had a difficult time trying to do stunts. So all the stunts Jason performed in the film were actually done by Steve Daskowitz. And he apparently did most of the third act. And I'm not going to go into drama around the issue and if the wrong man got credit for the wrong thing, but... And now you know who did the third act and who probably did the rest of the film, and I will leave it at that. There are a few plot holes that hold this film back. First, the obvious one is the beginning, how Jason finds Alice, and there is some speculation, like I said at the beginning of the film, that Alice might have gone back to Crystal Lake to face her fear, and Jason saw her and followed her back into town where she was staying, but this has never been confirmed. And I agree, this could have used a better explanation. The second issue is when Jason kills the lieutenant. How did anybody going into town not spot his car? As far as I can tell, there is only one road into town, so unless the lieutenant went the opposite direction, someone should have seen his cruiser sitting there. And why didn't any other cops look for him? Though, to be fair, he was only missing a few hours, but it's still a plot hole, but maybe not a major one. Maybe I am overthinking it. The final issue is the ambiguous ending, where we don't know for sure what happened to Paul, And while I do like a good mystery, but I would have liked a definitive ending that answered this question. In the end, Friday the 13th Part 2 is not perfect, but it's pretty close. And it's my favorite Friday the 13th film in the entire series. And I highly recommend you guys check this one out. I'm going to give Friday the 13th Part 2 a 9.5 out of 10. Tune in tomorrow when I do a full commentary review for Friday the 13th Part 3. I will talk to you guys later. This is the Entertainment Wizard, signing off.